Billed at 7'4", Andre the Giant truly lived up to his name with his physical presence. His 1993 death also proved a gargantuan loss for fans, but even more so for his family. Andre Rene Roussimoff was massive all his life, even as a baby. As the Orlando Sentinel notes, he was said to have a birth weight of 13 pounds. In a TV interview in the 70s, he noted that his parents weren't huge. His mom was just 5'2" and his dad was a foot taller, but he did say his grandfather may have stood 7 feet 8 inches. More than genetics, Andre's growth was due to a medical condition called gigantism. As the Mayo Clinic explains, it's caused by an overactive pituitary gland that supplies way too much growth hormone in childhood. Andre also had acromegaly, a related condition that occurs when too much growth hormone is released in adulthood. It results in oversized hands, feet, and facial features. While gigantism is relatively rare, Andre the Giant isn't the only pro wrestler with this condition. Omos, who stands 7'3" and is another of the tallest wrestlers ever, has also been diagnosed with this disorder. According to the Sportster, Andre wore a size 26 shoe, and it seems likely that he must have had most, if not all, of his clothing custom made. Clothes weren't the only thing that didn't fit the Giant, though. Biography relates how he had to use a pencil to dial a phone because of the size of his fingers, while Bleacher Report says his North Carolina ranch was customized with high ceilings and extra-large furniture. The Selvage Yard recounts how he commissioned a Lincoln Continental with a front seat where a normal back seat would be so he could have extra legroom. Before he bought the car, he traveled in a special trailer built to accommodate him, since he couldn't be comfortable in any normal car or plane. When he was forced to fly, he couldn't fit into those tiny airplane bathrooms, so he had to use a bucket to empty his bladder. Outside of the ring, Andre the Giant achieved near legendary status with his gargantuan capacity for booze. Hulk Hogan shared with CBS that the Giant once put away 108 beers in 45 minutes. Gerald Briscoe told the Tampa Bay Times how his extra-large friend regularly polished off 6 bottles of wine before each match and once knocked back 2 cases of Tall Boys on a trip from Sarasota to Tampa. Haku told the In the Room podcast about drinking with the Giant. The retired WWE and WCW star said, "If he drank 16 beers, you had to drink 16 beers with him. If he drank 2 or 3 cases, you had to drink 2 or 3 cases with him." Actor Cary Elwes, however, shares a different perspective on his Princess Bride co-star's boozing, telling Vanity Fair that Andre didn't drink for the sake of drinking. Andre was in a lot of pain, God bless him. The only way that he could deal with the pain was to drink alcohol. Andre and Jean Christensen, a former model turned publicist, were in a relationship for a short time, but it's unclear whether they ever married. Some sources say that the two actually did go through a wedding ceremony, but they never actually registered their vows with the proper authorities. It's also possible there was never any marriage at all. Married or not, it seems the couple had split up by the time their daughter Robin was born. Having a daughter was a surprise to both of them. Jean revealed in a TV interview,
"I was told prior to this happening that he was sterile."
At first, Andre didn't even want to acknowledge Robin as his. He had to be compelled to take a blood test. Eventually, he agreed to pay Jean $750 a month in child support, a sum that was eventually up to $1,000. For comparison, Modern Drunkard magazine reports that he once racked up a $40,000 hotel bar tab in a single month while filming The Princess Bride. Andre hardly ever spent much time with his daughter Robin. Jean Christensen has said that by the time Robin was 12, he'd met up with his only child a total of 4 times. He has seen her once as an infant, he saw her when she was about 18 months old, he saw her again when she was 4, and he saw her again in November of 1991 for 5 minutes. 12-year-old Robin herself said of her dad,
"He's like kind of a stranger in a way."
As an adult, Robin has admitted to having mixed feelings about her famous father. She did try to learn more about him from some of his fellow wrestlers, but as she told CBS Sports in 2015, if you're not part of the industry, then it's really hard to get them to talk. She told the Post and Courier that, "Maybe had he lived longer, I might have had a closer relationship with him." Andre, for his part, did not forget about her, and he provided quite generously for her in his will. Even today, Robin Christensen Roussimoff receives a cut of the proceeds from sales of his merchandise. Probably due to a combination of his size and the damage he took during more than 20 years as a wrestler, Andre was in so much pain by the end of his career that he could barely move. By the late 80s, there were times he needed to use tag team partner Ted DiBiase almost as a crutch to support him as he walked to the ring. Opponents such as Jake Roberts would help him out as well. In an interview with CBS Sports, Roberts said, "It was really hard for him to get up and down. I never knocked him on his ass unless it was near the ropes. That way, he could pull himself up." To make matters worse, Andre really wasn't one to seek medical care, although he did consent to undergo back surgery in 1986. As Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter told the Detroit News, it was a famous surgery where they had to get new tools because the tools you'd use on normal human beings wouldn't work for him. The pain, unfortunately, didn't let up much, but the Giant refused to treat it medically. As DiBiase recalled to CBS Sports, he hated pills, medicine, and painkillers and stuff because he saw what it was doing to other guys. The way Andre killed his pain and medicated himself was with booze. Could Andre the Giant, had he lived longer, have preceded The Rock, Batista, and John Cena in Hollywood stardom? His show-stealing star turn in 1987's The Princess Bride indicates that he might have well done so. Andre had a few cameos in 1970s TV shows, including The $6 Million Man and BJ and the Bear. The one role he'll forever be remembered for, however, is that of Fezzik, the humongous heel with a heart of gold. While Fezzik may not have been meant to be the real star of The Princess Bride, he's by far the most lovable character. And frankly, he has all the best lines.
Are there rocks ahead?
If they are, we all be dead.
No more rhymes now, I mean it.
Anybody want a peanut?
Andre was still appearing at wrestling shows right up until the end. Biography notes that Andre's last match took place in Japan in December 1992, a month before his death. Earlier that year, he made a final U.S. wrestling appearance at WCW Clash of the Champions 20. He was far past his prime though. When Gorilla Monsoon described his WrestleMania 3 main event clash with Hulk Hogan as the irresistible force meets immovable object, it was true in a very tragic sense. The Giant could barely move by that time. In Dave Meltzer's book, Tributes to Remembering More of the World's Greatest Professional Wrestlers, he writes, Andre had to wear a back brace and nearly had no feeling below his knees. As the HBO documentary Andre the Giant depicts, Andre refused to seek treatment for his gigantism because he felt it might cut his career short, but it was actually the lack of treatment that did so. WWE holds Andre the Giant in the highest esteem. He was the first Hall of Fame inductee, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is named for him, and the trophy includes a statuette in his likeness. Vince McMahon, too, has had nothing but praise for the late superstar, calling him, quote, a titan of stature, strength, athleticism, and heart, in a tweet for what would have been Andre's 75th birthday. The early days of their relationship, however, were a little rocky. Wrestling historian Pat LaPrade explained on the Talk is Jericho podcast that the eighth wonder of the world liked the way Vince's dad ran things because he got to wrestle all over the world. When Vince Jr. took over, he was mostly stuck stateside and he wasn't happy about it. Andre eventually got used to the new regime, but Vince McMahon admitted that their relationship headed south once more during the final days of the Giant's career. In the HBO documentary, Andre the Giant, McMahon said,
Andre more or less wanted to blame me, and resented me a bit because he knew the business was going to go on without him.
According to Uprocks, in January 1993, Andre got a phone call from his family in France. He was told that his elderly father was in poor health and didn't have much longer to live. Andre forced himself to squeeze into a plane seat one last time to return, and shortly thereafter, he attended his father's funeral. The Giant decided to stick around for a while to visit with family, plus his mom had a birthday coming up. He wanted to stay for the celebration. Jackie McCauley, former wife of his close friend Frenchie Bernard, told CBS Sports, I saw pictures of him at his mother's birthday party and I was shocked. His skin was gray and powdery and his eyes were so deep. By that point, Andre only had a few days left to live. Uprocks notes that Andre spent the last days of his life with his friends and family in his hometown of Moulins. He returned to his Paris hotel room that evening and got into bed. He never woke up. 2 days after his mother's birthday, he quietly passed away in a sleep of congestive heart failure. His friends say that was exactly what the Giant had been dreading. His friend Paul the Butcher Vachon recalled to Bleacher Report that the reason Andre liked to party all night was because he never wanted to go to sleep. Andre's funeral arrangements were tricky. He wanted to be cremated, but there were no facilities in France capable of handling a body of his size. Andre's friend Jackie McCauley told CBS Sports that she flew out to retrieve his body and accompany him home. His body was placed in a jumbo-sized custom casket that McCauley thinks may now be owned by WWE. Andre was eventually cremated with his ashes weighing in at 17 pounds. His cremains were scattered over the grounds of his North Carolina ranch by former wrestler and referee Frenchie Bernard. Andre's North Carolina ranch is the site where yet another wrestler's funeral took place some 17 years after the Giant's. Luna Vachon, a star of the Attitude Era, died of a drug overdose in 2010. According to Wrestling Edge, her ashes were also scattered over the grounds. In life, Luna, the adopted daughter of Paul the Butcher Vachon, and Andre had been very close. In an interview with Slam Wrestling, Luna explained how her dad's giant friend once took her on a trip to Paris. Andre tried to dissuade her from a career in the squared circle, telling her that wrestling was not good for ladies. Luna wasn't having any of it though, as she told him, "I'm going to make it different for women." If he had lived long enough to see her sign on with WWE, Andre probably would have been very proud.